D-Game.
We will fulfill our promise.
Welcome back to the wasteland, all my gamer friendulums. If you thought episode 1 of Fallout Season 2 was chaotic, episode 2 says, hold my Nuka-Cola. This episode has trauma, betrayal, questionable leadership, and at least one character making a decision so bad it deserves its own special stat called Absolutely Not. Episode 2 picks up exactly where episode 1 left us, with everyone emotionally damaged and geographically lost. Or you could also look at it, geographically damaged and emotionally lost. We finally get our first look at Maximus and what he's been up to. Lucy and the Ghoul are continuing to butt heads, and Hank playing around with mice. So before I get any deeper into my review of the Golden Rule, don't forget to take a moment to like and subscribe. Have yourself a glass of spiked eggnog. It really helps our Brotherhood of Steel out, and it goes a long way. Now let's get on with my review. We get our first full-on flashback of young Maximus, which we only got glimpses of. We see him in this small community that got blown up by Hank. And we learned how that happened with a wasteland wanderer was carrying around a giant nuke, repeatedly saying that famous phrase from the Fallout games,
Patrolling the Mojave almost makes you wish for a nuclear winter.
which is a phrase that is said a lot in the games repeatedly by NPCs who are just walking around, and they say it ad nauseum.
Patrolling the Mojave almost makes you wish for a nuclear winter.
And this guy is saying it repeatedly, so it's this funny in-joke towards the games. We see that his father is a tinkerer. He's able to fix and mod things on his own, but he's unable to stop the bomb from blowing up. So his parents throw him inside the fridge that we see him coming out of later on as the town blows up. And unfortunately, we see later on after that it was actually the younger version of Hank who was part of that bomb going off while he was still underground taking care of Lucy and Norm. So more flashbacks to how effed up Hank really is and really was the whole time. We learn more about Hank and how the fact that he was basically always just a POS and he was just really good at hiding it. We get a little montage of him repeatedly getting mice and attaching the device to them that House made to help try to control people's brains. For some weird reason that kind of started to bug me, I kept wondering, why did Hank have to keep taking the little cart and walking around just to get a mouse? Come all the way back, do it again, fail, go back, get another mice. For some reason, he was constantly going back and forth to get mice. I didn't understand why he just didn't grab a whole bunch all at once, blow them up, come back and do it again. And then somehow in between all that, he's cleaning out the little glass cage that they're in that has a tiny little table with a tiny little computer screen on it, which is rather funny and cute. I didn't understand why he was constantly getting the mice when he could just go get a bunch all at once. Maximus is struggling with the Brotherhood of Steel. He has a new responsibility now, and he seems almost kind of irritated by it. At the end of season 1, he took responsibility for the killing of Moldaver, but it wasn't him. His friends saw that he did it and assumed he did and raised his hand and it said, all hail Maximus. And Maximus just didn't say, he didn't correct him. He didn't say he didn't do it. He just didn't tell him what the actual truth is. So that's weighing heavily on him, as you can see in his face. People look up to him. He's respected. He has his own squires. The power armor guys acting like idiots to the point where Maximus has to go up to them when they're playing with a live grenade to be like,
Please don't play with grenades inside.
But he still has that hopefulness that he believes that what him and the Brotherhood are doing is right, even though they're pretty much just straight up a cult. It's the question of who's doing the right thing, who's doing the wrong thing. At the end of the day, everyone's just trying to survive and help the human race continue. The way these people do these things is the big question, the question of morality. If what you're trying to do is for the greater good, does it matter what happens along the way? Does it matter who you kill, how many people you kill, how you kill them? He is still struggling with his new responsibility. And impressive considering he's in the Brotherhood of Steel, an organization whose entire vibe is we have rules, follow them, and we don't ask questions. Ghoul and Lucy are still just doing their butting heads thing. The Ghoul is absolutely thriving in his morally gray, emotionally dead, but extremely charismatic. Lucy is challenging him with the question of if she really wants to find his wife and daughter, what would they think of who he is now? Like, would they like him? Is he a nice person? But let's be real. Every episode is basically a competition between the characters, and the Ghoul just keeps winning by not caring at all. Every line he delivers feels like it was written by someone who played Fallout New Vegas 2 correctly. He doesn't just walk into a scene, he haunts them. If charisma was a perk, the Ghoul has maxed it out, then looted your corpse for extra points. End up in this lab and find these people who were attacked by rad scorpions. Immediately Ghoul says, no, we shouldn't help these people. Look at their tunics, but he doesn't specifically say, hey, why we shouldn't help them or what faction they're part of. The Ghoul straight up just kills one of them. Then he eats some of their ass jerky, and turns out it's not very good for him. Because for some reason, people bitten by a rad scorpion can hurt the Ghoul if he eats their skin. But Lucy saves the woman and ends up leaving the Ghoul there. Kind of surprisingly harsh on her part considering they were working together, and then suddenly she's just like, nah, I'm done with you. Though she's constantly repeating the line of like, I'm not like you, I'm not like you. She's constantly saying it out loud, but she's definitely saying it to herself. She really should just kill people if she has to when it comes down to it, but she still tries to find a way to do that without having to kill anyone. Lucy ends up leaving the Ghoul there on the ground, so she walks off with this strange woman who we don't even know who her name is. We can still see that Lucy's arc is always great, but it's still slowly killing her optimism. Not at once, of course, just slowly and gentle. She's learning that the wasteland doesn't reward kindness at all. It rewards survival and occasionally lying through your teeth. So the golden rule just doesn't really apply to the wasteland whatsoever. Of course, the golden rule being do unto others. Though in this case, doing unto others is shooting them and stabbing them and eating their butt jerky. Watching Lucy's moral compass spin like a broken Pip-Boy is one of the best parts of the show. Near the end of Lucy's journey, she encounters what looks like the Caesar's Legion. We cut just before anything else happens with them, other than Lucy saying,
I am nice.
This episode really leans into the idea that Brotherhood of Steel isn't a heroic faction. It's a walking midlife crisis wrapped in power armor. Maximus wants that purpose. The Brotherhood just wants obedience. And Fallout wants you to feel uncomfortable about both. There's some funny scenes where some of the Brotherhood and the power armor are being goofballs. So I'm not sure why the Brotherhood of Steel people in the armor are suddenly dumber than they were last season. Newer people who just started using the armor are getting used to it and they're just being goofy because they're like, hey, we have armor now. Look how cool we are. Also, one of the best parts of the show is watching Norm continuing to step up as he had unthawed all the young executives from Vault-Tec, essentially created his own team of Vault employees. He's wearing the 33 uniform. They're wearing the Vault 31 uniform. And he tells them that Bud is dead because he is. There is an off-camera scene where Norm looks like he basically just drowned Bud in a thing of water. But they are all unfrozen and they still have their young optimism and they're still kind of have the same brain thoughts of what they did have 200 years before because they were frozen for 200 years. So Norm unfreezes them, essentially just tells them what he thinks they want to hear as he tries to figure out a way for them to get out of the vault. At the end of the episode, they do. Then we see that little scene that was in the trailer where that scene from the first trailer where we see Norm walking up to the top of a sand dune, looking across, and we see that now famous Ferris wheel, and the team is behind him as they've just left the vault. And Norm looks at it and is amazed and says it's beautiful, even though, not really beautiful, but he's only ever seen the vault his entire life. So seeing anything other than that to him is beautiful. But then we have the young execs. The first thing one of them says is like, oh, the mall's gone. To them, they just saw this world like a day ago, but it's been 200 years. So the last time they saw all this, it was still the pre-war world. So Norm is suddenly become a leader to these new Vault-Tec employees who got thought out. Where exactly they're heading just yet, I can't really say. But watching Norm continue to grow and become a leader, becoming a part of the show that I'm liking more than I thought I would. I'm just glad to see that he's become stronger. He still has that bit of a coward edge to him. He's just kind of naturally a coward, which is not, I don't mean that in a mean way. He just naturally, his first inclination is to essentially protect himself.
It's beautiful.
Episode 2 doubles down on Fallout's world building. The vault politics are still horrifying. The surface world is worse as it ever has been, and no one is safe from capitalism even after the apocalypse. There are little nods everywhere for game fans. Blink and you'll miss them moments that scream, yes, the writers actually played the games. This episode feels less like a TV show and more like a side quest that accidentally becomes a main story.
Bet I could mash you.
Probably.
The final scene of this episode ends back at the Brotherhood of Steel, where two Brotherhood of Steel in the power armor are having a fight. And it's actually kind of stupid because they're both wearing power armor, so I don't really get how anyone can hurt each other if they're both just punching each other in the armor. Maximus looks bored and annoyed and tries to walk away, but then all of a sudden, this God of War Kratos looking dude just stops him and says, hey, let's have a fight. Maximus says, I'm gonna go get my armor. No, tall bald jerk-off guy says, we're gonna do it bareback. Tall POS, trying to act like some kind of hero, immediately fights dirty. Like, why this guy thinks like he's some kind of badass when he straight up just fights dirty. Like, before Maximus hasn't even taken his coat off, this mofo just starts hitting him while Maximus is literally in the middle of taking off his coat. So he just fights dirty immediately, punching him a bunch of times. Then when Maximus finally gets his coat off and actually gets a couple hits in, then this guy takes a knife out. Just a giant POS that just wants to fight Maximus, but fight completely dirty. And yet for some reason, people are still cheering him on, like, way to punch the guy while he's still down and then try to stab him with a knife. Maximus is still a capable fighter, and he's able to take the guy out with his own knife. Just as Camille Nanjiani's character shows up to say, hey, I heard there's a war happening. Why wasn't I invited? He's wearing that famous coat that we've seen from leaders in the Fallout 4 games. And the episode ends right there on his very chiseled jawline that I'm wondering if is that even his real jaw anymore. Every time I see Camille, his jaw seems to be even more chiseled. So I don't know. Having weirdly square jaws seems to be the new norm in Hollywood. If you don't believe me, look at Jonathan Mulaney now compared to 2 years ago. There's a huge difference in that dude's jaw, and it's bizarre.
It finally all made sense. In order to get revenge on James Marsden, John was becoming the real-life Wolverine.
Episode 2 nails the Fallout tone once again perfectly, with the dark comedy, the moral ambiguity, sudden and gruesome violence, characters that you want to trust but you just don't. It's funny without becoming a parody, and bleak without becoming the walking depression.
Carl.
Balance that is hard, yet Fallout keeps sticking the landing like it's got a maxed out agility special. What's my final verdict? Like every other episode, strong character development. The Ghoul still remains undefeated in being the most awesome character on the show. The Brotherhood remains suspicious in what exactly their modus operandi is, and Lucy continues to lose innocence like it's spare ammo. This episode doesn't just explode the story forward, it loads the gun. And trust me, something is about to go very wrong.
Okie dokie.
If you enjoyed my review of episode 2 of season 2 of Fallout, hit that like button like you just found a Fat Man launcher. Subscribe for more Fallout coverage, Easter eggs, and wasteland chaos. And tell me in the comments, who's your favorite character so far, and who do you absolutely not trust? War never changes. Bad decisions definitely do. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Keep gaming and have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Keegan out.